Deep in the archives of museums around the world, there are thousands of shattered, unremarkable clay tablets. Most people walk right past them, but if you know how to read the ancient cuneiform scratched into their surface, you will find a financial weapon. It is a mathematical concept so powerful that it quietly built empires, bankrupted kings, and established dynasties of wealth that lasted for centuries. It wasn't a rare metal. It wasn't a secret trade route. It was a slight shift in how human beings thought about time and money. And the exact same mathematical trick recorded on those ancient tablets is currently sitting inside your bank account, your retirement fund, and your credit cards. To understand why the rich get richer and why so many people stay trapped in debt, you have to understand a shift in human history that changed finance forever. Think about the ancient world. When we picture wealth in antiquity, we usually imagine conquerors hoarding gold or pharaohs building monuments. But behind the scenes of ancient Babylon, Greece, and Rome, there was a different class of incredibly wealthy people: the moneylenders, the bankers. These individuals didn't command armies. They didn't conquer new lands. Yet they amassed staggering, multi-generational fortunes. How did they build empires of wealth using nothing but ledgers? The answer lies in a seemingly harmless idea that evolved over thousands of years. But to see why it was so revolutionary, you first have to look at how lending started. Thousands of years ago in Mesopotamia, the cradle of civilization, borrowing was a normal part of survival. If you were a farmer and your crops failed, you needed seeds to plant for the next season. So you went to a wealthy merchant and borrowed a sack of grain. Naturally, the merchant wanted something in return for taking that risk. When harvest time came, you didn't just give back one sack of grain. You gave back one sack, plus a little extra. This was the birth of interest. In the beginning, it was incredibly simple. You borrow 100 silver coins at 10% interest. A year passes, you owe 110 coins. If another year passes, you owe 120. The math is flat. It is predictable. The lender's wealth grows at a steady, marching pace. It was a good business, but it had a speed limit. But moneylenders are not known for leaving money on the table. Eventually, they realized there was a flaw in this system, a massive missed opportunity. What happens when a borrower can't pay the interest they owe at the end of the year? The lenders didn't forgive the debt, and they didn't just let it sit there. Instead, they did something incredibly clever, something that completely altered the trajectory of human wealth. They took that unpaid interest and they added it to the original loan. It sounds like a tiny administrative detail, but this one minor adjustment unlocked a financial phenomenon that blew the doors off the ancient economy. They had stumbled into compound interest, the concept of charging interest on interest. To understand why this was so explosive, let's break it down simply. Imagine you lend out 100 silver coins at 10% interest. Year 1, the borrower owes you 10 coins in interest, but they can't pay. Under the old system, the next year they would just owe you another 10 coins. But under this new system, that unpaid 10 coins gets bolted onto the original loan. Now the borrower doesn't owe you interest on 100 coins, they owe you interest on 110 coins. In year 2, the interest isn't 10, it is 11. In year 3, the interest is calculated on 121 coins. The numbers seem small at first, almost invisible. But then, time takes over. The math starts to bend upward. The line on the graph goes from a steady slope to a rocket trajectory. After a decade, the debt hasn't just doubled. It has exploded. The money is literally cloning itself, and then those clones are making more clones. The lender doesn't have to work harder. They don't have to take on more risk. They just have to wait. For the ancient bankers, this was the ultimate wealth-building machine. But for the borrowers, it was an inescapable nightmare. This mathematical curve is exactly why the ancient world was plagued by debt crises. A farmer who had a few bad harvests could suddenly find his debt multiplying faster than his crops could grow. The interest compounded so aggressively that it outpaced human labor. Families were forced to sell their land. When they ran out of land, they were forced into debt slavery. This became such a massive crisis that ancient rulers had to periodically step in and wipe the slate clean. Historians call these events debt jubilees. Kings would literally issue decrees canceling all debts just to prevent society from collapsing under the crushing weight of compound interest. But the lenders never forgot the math. The concept survived the fall of Babylon. It survived the collapse of Greece. It became deeply embedded in the Roman Empire, where wealthy patricians used it to extract vast fortunes from the provinces. There wasn't one single genius who invented this idea one afternoon. It wasn't a sudden eureka moment. It was a gradual, ruthless evolution of finance. discovered and refined by lenders who realized that time was the most valuable asset in the world. They realized that if you can capture time and attach an interest rate to it, you can generate infinite wealth. This realization became the bedrock of modern banking. And that brings us directly to you, because the exact same mathematical curve that swallowed ancient farmers and enriched Roman elites is dictating your financial life right now. The rules haven't changed in 2,000 years, only the technology has. Think about a credit card. When you carry a balance, the bank isn't just charging you interest on what you bought. They are charging you interest on the unpaid interest from last month, and the month before that. The ancient debt trap has just been wrapped in shiny plastic. It is the exact same mechanism that forced ancient citizens to sell their land, quietly working in the background of millions of modern households. But there is a totally different side to this story, because this ancient secret isn't just a trap. It is also the greatest wealth creation tool available to ordinary people today. When you put your money into a retirement account, or when you buy an index fund, you are stepping into the shoes of the ancient banker. You are making the math work for you. Let's say you invest money in the stock market, and it grows by 8% this year. That profit gets added to your total balance. Next year, you aren't just earning 8% on your original money. You are earning 8% on your original money plus last year's profit. Your money is cloning itself. Over a few years, it feels like nothing is happening. It feels painfully slow. But if you wait 20 or 30 years, the math bends upward. The curve accelerates. Suddenly, the vast majority of your wealth isn't the money you saved. It is the compounded growth of that money. This is how the greatest investors in the world build their fortunes. It isn't through a secret algorithm. It is by applying the exact same principle that ancient lenders used and simply letting it run for decades. Time and math. That is the 2,000-year-old secret. Finance is often made to look complicated. Wall Street uses complex jargon, flashing screens, and endless charts to make it seem like a secret language. But strip all of that away, and the foundation of wealth is brutally simple. Compound interest is a force of nature. It does not care if you are an ancient Roman merchant, a modern bank, or a teenager opening their first savings account. It only does one thing. It takes whatever is in front of it and multiplies it over time. The only question you have to answer is which side of the equation you want to be on. Are you going to pay compound interest and watch your future wealth slowly drain away? Or are you going to earn compound interest and let time build your empire? If you enjoyed discovering how history quietly shapes the money in our pockets today, please subscribe to the channel so you never miss another story. And before you go, I want to know what you think. If you could travel back in time and invest in any ancient business or financial system, which one would you choose? And why? Let me know in the comments below.